If you want to know why you dey feel the way they feel inside your mind, inside your brain, and generally why things dey the way they around you, Mind Clinic na the radio program we go teach you how to deal with all different types of stress and other things wey person dey go through. On top Mind Clinic, you fit talk about mind matter wey concern you directly or the one wey no even concern you directly.
All right, it's another very beautiful Wednesday morning in the FCT. I'm Victor Pepple and this is the Mind Clinic. Of course, on the show we've got Chinyeru Goldensi. Good morning.
Morning, listeners.
Good morning to you. All right, on the show today, we're going to be looking at suicide prevention advocacy. It's been on for a while now. We'll get the stats and the details as well. The Mind Clinic is a program proudly sponsored by Neem Foundation. And you can get counseling at Neem Sanctuary. If you want to find out how to do that, please send a message to us or call us up before the end of the program. And we realized that 8 out of 10 persons living in Nigeria, especially at this peculiar time of COVID-19, has something going on in his head or her head. And this has affected a lot of homes. We've seen a lot of domestic violence, husband killing wife, and a lot happening in Nigeria right now. And the research recently conducted reveals that Nigerians are battling so much just beyond COVID-19. A lot is happening mentally for a lot of us, and it's affecting our physical life, emotionally, and our whole life on a daily basis. Well, on the show this morning, we're joined by the co-founder, Love, Peace and Mental Health Foundation, a multifaceted creative in the field of media and doing very well in the NGO, in that very sector. Of course, the Love, Peace and Mental Health Foundation is a non-profit organization that is dedicated to promoting mental health, wellness and awareness among the Nigerian youths. Sheifumi Nomia Yusuf is our guest on the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you for having me.
All right then.
Yes. So, I think one of the big things for us is advocacy, raising awareness for mental health. And I'm glad that the Love, Peace and Mental Health Foundation is here with us to talk about advocacy. And then in keeping with our conversation about suicide prevention, I know that one of the ways to prevent suicide is also about advocacy. So we just want to talk about advocacy a little bit and suicide prevention advocacy, trying to understand it a little bit and see what we as individuals can do to help the society and help our family members. I guess we'll just go back to the beginning and ask, what are the signs of family members and friends? What should they look out for in individuals that are battling suicide ideation or that may have suicidal ideation?
Well, there are a couple of signs. I would say the feeling of hopelessness.
Okay.
Excessive sadness. Mm-hmm. And mood swings, such as perhaps unexpected rage, like long-lasting sadness that takes a long time for it to go, or it doesn't even go at all. Problems with sleeping. Sometimes withdrawal, sometimes sudden calmness. Sudden calmness because the person has already made up a decision to take that action to end their life. So withdrawal, which is spending time alone, avoiding friends and activities that the person would typically get involved in. So changing in personality and appearance, becoming nonchalant about the way you look, not making any effort to take care of yourself. Then, there's also the self-harm behavior, which is being reckless and, driving rough or taking drugs or alcohol in excess, engaging in risky behaviors, basically.
Yeah.
So those are some of the ways, some of the tell signs for someone who is suicidal. Some people would talk about their suicide ideation, and others don't. So some people would also make preparations, like, giving people their passwords and using words like, just in case I'm not around, and kind of preparing their loved ones, friends or family to be ready for their absence, so to say.
Yeah. You mentioned something that was quite striking, which is one of the things that we've not really mentioned. That's having like a sense of peace. You said like a sense of calm, an overwhelming sense of calm. Do you want to just expand on that a little bit? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, the sense of calm comes from the decision, that the person has already made up their mind that, okay, they are not going to move on with this life anymore, and they suddenly want to take their own life. So it starts to become that calm that, they don't have to fight for their life anymore. They don't have to fight to survive. So it becomes a situation whereby the person that's trying to take their own life just agrees with the fact that, okay, this is what I want to do, and it's kind of like the phrase "live every day like it's your last."
Yeah.
So they take that to heart.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. Let's talk a little bit about advocacy. When it comes to suicide prevention, I mean, we see it all the time happening. We see every single day there's some information about someone that has committed suicide. There was one this week. There's always that information, and I keep wondering how much of advocacy are we doing? Mental health practitioners, people, how much advocacy are we doing around understanding suicide, knowing how to prevent it? Because we keep talking about it in smaller bits, but I wonder if we are doing a lot more advocacy, and if advocacy is even necessary, perhaps.
Well, advocacy is actually necessary, but there's a lot of organizations putting their efforts in trying to raise awareness when it comes to suicide, but very few have the capacity or are equipped to actually help people when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Because you need helplines, you need resources that people who are suicidal can have access to.
Yeah.
But there is also the literacy of our society and how they understand, suicide ideations and suicidal attempts.
Yeah, that's very good.
So the advocacy is still very much needed, but it needs to extend into the urban areas and not just the elite people of the country. Mm-hmm. So the advocacy needs to go into streets and communities that do not have access to a lot of things that the elite community or suburbs would have access to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So advocacy is still a big deal, and it still needs to be there still needs to shed more light on advocacy, right?
Yeah.
So advocacy is still a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to go back to the first question about the science, and the things that you mentioned, we know that suicide is quite a serious, it's very serious. It's something that we don't take lightly. And the whole idea is that we want to change the narrative around it. We want to get people to understand that it's not about someone that is, trying to seek for attention. It's not even about that. It's somebody who is crying out for help. And, we talked about how there is need for advocacy, but then the requirements sometimes can be a bit too much for the everyday person. And my next question would be, what can, you and I, what can families, what can friends do to help prevent suicide? With the little that we have, what can we do to help prevent suicide? The everyday person listening, what can they do?
Well, one of the go-to is to ask the person if they're depressed or thinking about suicide. In a compassionate way. Okay. Would be to ask if the person is depressed and thinking about suicide. Another thing would be to ask if they're seeking help or seeing a therapist. So another thing is also to rather than talk the person out of suicide, let them know that whatever they're feeling, whatever is the cause of their suicide or the decision for you to be suicidal, it's a consequence of, a primary mental health situation. So you have to let the person know that mental health situation is treatable and it is temporary. So, and in most cases, the person who is suicidal just wants to know and really needs to know that someone cares, and they can be encouraged to seek professional help.
I think a lot of the times people don't realize that there's help. And I'm glad that you mentioned it over and over again, that things that we can do is actually engage in conversation with the person who may be having this signs and, encourage them to seek help. So how do we go about it? How do we go about, encouraging family and friends, people that we know, to seek help? How do we do that?
It's having a compassionate conversation, really, an empathic conversation. Not being afraid of asking the person what they're going through, and asking the person if they're suicidal. So from past experiences, what I've realized that conversation actually helps a lot. If you can give the person a glimpse of hope, hope actually saves a lot. It plays a lot of role in making sure that the person doesn't commit suicide. So if one is hopeful and one can bring in hope to the person, it goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point you raised. Because one of the things that we find that, when people come and seek for help, the people that are suicidal seek for help, there's always this sense of hopelessness. And it's like, if you don't have hope, it's like, what are you looking forward to then? So what is there, And so in that space, encouraging people to seek help and giving them a sense of hope and helping them, see clearer. Because I think when I think about suicide, I think of it like somebody wearing dark glasses. You can't see anything else except the darkness. And in that case, you are almost helpless, and you need help, and you need somebody to help you take those dark glasses off, and then you would see options, and you would see possibilities. And that doesn't necessarily mean for most people that you would never have those up and down swings. It just means that in that moment, somebody was able to help you, and then when you seek help, it makes it easier for you to find better ways to deal with future problems.
Yes.
So definitely, help seeking for me is very important. I think for most people, it's even also difficult to encourage family members to seek help when they have these things. And I think we can actually take a step forward by, as individuals, equipping ourselves with the knowledge, learning about it and what to do, so that when we get into that situation, we're able to push the person, because it's not something that we should stay on the sidelines and wait and watch. we should be able to, take the person, if we could, into seeking help, because it's basically, for lack of better word, it's life and death in that situation.
All right, then. We're getting straight to the phone lines now, but I realized that in this part of the world, when it comes to issues of suicide, we don't have a lot of people who speak up about it, and we're trying to break the culture of silence. We encourage you to pick up a phone and call us up, ask any question. It might not be for you, it might be for your family member, and I teach you a trick. If you don't want your name on air, it's okay to keep you anonymous. You can also say you're asking for a friend. All right? But the important thing is asking that question and seeking help and getting help actually from the Neem Sanctuary. So a message on WhatsApp from John. John is in Maitama, and John says, I have a job, but since the COVID-19 started, my salary was cut and I'm not enjoying this job anymore. I want to resign. My family doesn't want me to resign. What do I do? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, John is asking, what should he do? His family doesn't want him to resign because of COVID-19. He's tired at his job, and then he got a pay cut, due to COVID-19, and it's not enough for him. What should he do, basically?
Jason, would you want to take that?
Well, I think the best thing is to do what's best for you, sincerely. With or without the family, your mental health matters. So if the situation is affecting his mental health, he has to do what is best for him.
Okay. I'd like to add, I guess I'd be wanting to ask a couple of questions. If he felt this way prior to the pay cut and to the COVID-19 pandemic, if he felt this way prior to it, then maybe there was a lot of conversation or thought going on in his head about it. But if he feels that way now, well, I don't know the reason, but I'm saying if the reason is because of the pay cuts and the COVID-19 pandemic, then I'd advise him to hold on a little bit, or maybe have a conversation with a professional that can help him understand what's going on. Because right now, as a result of the pandemic, everybody's going through a lot of distress and a lot of stress. And sometimes you can feel like this situation that is very temporary can be so much stress on you that you want to make decisions that down the line may have an impact on you. So it'd be very important for him to actually consider speaking with somebody that can help him understand what's going on at the moment. Is it something that he has been harboring in his mind for a long time? Is it something that he's thinking about now? Why do you want to make, that decision, how much of an impact will it have on you? And to also think about the consequences of leaving the job, keeping the job. Just explore that a little bit so that he can make an informed decision on what he wants to do.
All right.
So the basic make sure he's not making it under an emotion because of for emotional reasons.
All right, then. Thank you for attempting that. And then we got a message from Miracle. I'm trying to get to that one. Miracle sent a message, and he says he's 22 years old. He's tired of this life. His mom is ill, and he's the one who takes care of the family. But right now, he's tired and he cannot continue. No location to this message. Miracle is 22, and he's asking for help.
Yeah. I think what Miracle can do is that he can reach my contact number. Let me give my number: 0706 062 5054. I'll call that again: 0706 062 5054. And, again, it boils down to, the conversation I had around COVID-19 and the impact it's having on everybody. Most of us can be looking at it as just a pandemic, but it's really, really having quite an enormous impact on a lot of people and their health. Finances are not looking good. People are really they're in distress at the moment. And it's, and sometimes people just need a space to just vent and to air out their concerns. And you might feel like, it's not even worth it trying anymore. You might feel like, what's the essence? But it's also good for you to know that there's help there. You may not get the financial support that you need, but sometimes when you're able to declog your mind or decongest your mind, you're able to, get that strength again and just keep going. So please call me on that number and let's have a conversation.
All right. And, okay, you wanted to say something? Go ahead for me.
Basically, I just wanted to say, whatever situation Miracle is facing, you should know that it is temporary. It is temporary. It may be difficult to realize that now, to see that. It's just like the quote, a famous quote by Albert Camus, which says, I found out there was in the midst of winter, I found out there was within me an invisible summer. So it is just like that scenario. So whatever is making you feel that way is temporary, and it will evolve as well.
Okay, so I'll take a quick message from Eddie. Eddie sends a message, says, everyone preaches about not giving up and endurance, but can we take a second to acknowledge that it is okay to give up if you have tried so hard many, many times and realize that this isn't for you, this isn't it for you. Up and live to a better environment that makes you happy and more fulfilled. I guess reacting to the message of the person that wants to live, I don't know, but we just got this message. Says everyone always preaches that you shouldn't give up and about endurance. Do you want to react to this?
Yeah, I think I do agree with what he's saying, that it's about understanding the space you are and how unproductive that space is. And if you find that you're doing something that you're not getting fulfillment, that it's not being productive, and you want to get up and leave, then that's fine with you. I guess my point is that you have to also think it through and not make a decision based on the way you feel, because remember that your feelings will come and go. Your feelings will come and go, but if you have thought things through, then that's okay. You can definitely get up and you can leave, whatever, if it's a job that you're finding that it's not working for you, to go on to something that makes it better for you. And it's not about, it's okay to even feel like you're in a down and a low. It's normal. If we had to go through life feeling like everything was all good and dandy, that wouldn't be normal. So even if you find yourself in a low situation, even if you find yourself feeling very down and out, that's okay, that's normal. But then the challenge would be when you now remain there, then we might have a problem, because you might be in a position where you'll be causing more damage to yourself than you're doing good to yourself.
All right. In wrapping up this morning, I once got a tweet, and I think I referred to the Neem Sanctuary almost immediately, but just so we have this knowledge, right? A young man tweeted, "Death is knocking at my door. I'll miss everyone and everything here. Twitter has been fun to me since I joined. I didn't have the courage to push through last year, but I do now. If you're seeing these, tell my mama I love her, but I couldn't push again." So when we see some of these messages and we're not able to get through to a professional, what can we say in that moment to encourage such a person not to commit suicide?
Yeah, the first thing I would do would be a message of hope. Letting the person know that there is hope, first of all, and try to understand the person's situation. Try to talk to the person about what they are feeling. Not why they are feeling that way, but what they are feeling. And once you're able to do that, it gives you a scope on how to further talk to the person, how to further be of help. Because sometimes what they're feeling is caused by a temporary situation, right? So, or it could just be a symptom of a larger mental health issue. So, because most of the leading cause of suicide would be an underlying mental health issue. So that's the route I'll go about it first.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, then. So in wrapping up now, please again give out the numbers and how to reach you online.
That's me you're speaking to, right?
Yes,
sir?
yes, Chinyere.
Okay. So for you to be able to contact the Neem Sanctuary, the number to reach out to is 0706 062 5054. The number is 0706 062 5054. I think I must reiterate that this number is just for psychological support and for mental health support, just so that I put it out there again.
All right, then. We must thank you very much. Our guest on the show this morning, a very good friend from the Love, Peace and Mental Health Foundation, Sheifumi Nomia Yusuf, for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
All right. It was good to have this conversation. And so in the new month, what should we be expecting basically?
Let's say it's going to be a surprise.
All right, then. All right.